Alright, welcome back. We're at 7-7-26. Yeah. 7-7-26. Updated several months ago. A long time ago, it seems like. Still overcoming the myofascial pain syndrome problem here. I physically feel like a different person from the last update, in that I have more signals that are active. So, like I feel the heat, I feel sweat, I feel, posturally different. Not correct, but different. And I'm still missing more signals. But I feel like a different person. This happened a few months back where I'm like, oh, I'm different now. It happens all at once. First, the posture moves, and then, somehow it just moves in a way that takes the pressure off a major area, and then you feel different. You feel like, whoa, I'm different. And I don't know how to explain it, but from there you start adding more signals slowly, little pings, little reboots of the nervous system, little areas that you haven't got to, you start feeling them again. More movements keep happening, but it's all very slow, and the overall condition remains. I always want to go back for the full history and talk about it, but it's really hard to do. At the same time, I'm regaining sensations and signals and stuff. I'm forgetting what it felt like before. So when it comes to putting something into words, it's a little bit challenging. It still is challenging anyways, even when you do feel it, but you can at least pick up on the severity when I'm talking sometimes, I guess. I don't know. I guess it depends. But I have some recorded videos that have some information in them, which is better than nothing. But it's very difficult for me to get through this kind of pain and stuff. I'm pretty confident that I'm going to have at least normal-ish functioning again, because I've come this far. It's taken a very long time. It's 4 years and 6 months, and we're into the 7th month. Daily rehabilitation, and I've gone from being in severe chronic pain to being in chronic pain, right? The severity is dropping down slowly over time, but it's taken that long, and really most of the significant hurdles have taken place in the past few months. The left hip, the right hip joints, these are very significant areas for functioning. Deep in the glutes, into the hip joints. I can't pinpoint where exactly. I mean, I could point to it, but I can never really understand when I'm reading a fucking skeleton, 3D skeleton. They got arrows pointing to things. I'm like, yeah, what are you talking about here or there? You're like, I don't fucking know what the fuck you're talking about. So it's hard for me to even try to use medical terminology to conceptualize, but I know basically where it is by feel. Yeah, the left hip was very powerful in terms of like significant difference, right? Essentially, all this tissue, the AI, the Gemini, explains it better than I do, in terms of like the layering that occurs with your fascia and sort of the battle of myofascial pain syndrome. The AI explains it better than I can, but it you have a general idea of where you're working toward at all times. You have to hunt. First, you have to hunt your body, scan your body, move it, and try to find the spot. You're trying to find the spot that gives you a response when you contract the tissue in that area. You're trying to get something, you're like, oh, there's something deep inside. There's something deep in there that I can't get to. And that's when you start noticing, the location that you want to target. But you start targeting a spot, or the tissue does kind of move around, right, over time, but the same spots will be locked up, and you'll be trying to get in there because you're trying to reset everything. You're trying to get the whole thing, but it won't reset. It's all one unit, but it feels like it's multiple units. It feels like there's disconnect throughout the whole thing, because this is refusing to move, this is refusing to function, whatever, things like that. So it feels like it's all split apart. So you're trying to find the right spot and put some contraction into it, and hold it and try to get the tissue to, I don't know how to explain it, but you're trying to get the global tissue, the global web of fascia, to align correctly so that it can stretch deep into a spot that it needs to stretch. But you can't get there. Essentially, it takes time. I mean, so you drag it out. It goes, days, weeks, months before you can get to one spot, and that's just one spot. And then this takes years to undo all of this stuff. Essentially, the worse your condition gets, the much harder this whole thing is. You get so locked up that you're dizzy and you feel really unwell. Everything shuts down, and the alarm bells are just never ending, and it drowns out your thoughts. It drowns out your every movement. You're dizzy. Everything you try to do is too hard, and it's extremely painful. But anyways, the left hip, several things. I still haven't released my glutes yet, but I have partially released them. And the left hip brought about several sensations. One of them was like a clouded, like outside my leg, the space around my leg. It was like a cooling cloud sensation that lasted for a few hours. And I had been stuck in pain for 4 years up to that point. And, that was sort of the best feeling I've felt you know, in a long time. And it was just my leg. Leg to up to that hip on the left side. And it only lasted a few hours. I was kind of like, oh, just stay. It's really a weird sensation, but if it's relief, it takes away the pain temporarily. So, but it went away pretty quickly. The other thing, this was a different day, but the same spot, that left hip. My cognitive thoughts, my thinking process sped up. My speed came back, or it felt like my speed came back. It was sort of like the motor functioning of my thinking, and I had you know, like more racing thoughts, and it kind of was faster at first until it scaled back a little bit. But my initial thought is like, whoa, I'm back. It's like, oh, here I am. This is how I think. This is me right here. You know, it felt familiar instantly, but it's like, oh, I didn't realize it was gone. You know, and that was my left hip. So there's all this stuck tissue around that joint, and I don't know, eventually you work your way toward that center point, and it finally pulls on it, and then you have release. You know, your body can clean out this stuff, whatever toxic buildup in the tissue gets cleaned out. But instantly you feel the relief, like the joint or whatever, the nerve functioning comes back. And I felt that for different things as well. My right shoulder is another bad spot, that it comes and goes. I have pain, you know, connects to my headache too. I have headaches, and I have my right shoulder pain all the time. But there was a time several months ago where, actually it was probably more than 6 months ago, where something in my shoulder moved. Something released up in my shoulder, and you know, my arm reset painfully. The muscles squeezed on my arm and then rebalanced, and then my motor functioning to my hand improved. And then it did it a second time months later, and my motor functioning to my individual fingers improved. So the first time, you know, my grip had been very weak, and it would hurt too much doing anything. And then something in my shoulder moved, and then the grip got better, not perfect, but better. And then months later, this was recently, I had been playing piano and stuff, but you know, I couldn't really play my usual abilities because, like, I try to move a finger, two fingers would move, you know, that kind of thing, where they would move together, and I couldn't get the individual movement out of each finger. So I'd often, you know, hit the wrong key or whatever, hit two keys at once type of stuff. So then my shoulder moved recently again, and then boom, right back to my hand, and then it was like my motor functioning and my fingers individually had improved again. So it was another layer of level up in my hand. And instantly I could play the piano, and I was like, yeah, there we go. That is now normal speed. I'm now at normal speed and function of the piano. There's still other problems, but that's better, right? So, this functioning might actually fade out a little bit too later because the body is rebalancing. The tissue, sometimes the tension has to be held in your forearm, your arm. Sometimes your body needs to put the tension somewhere, and then your functioning decreases again in that same spot. And that's not really a setback. It's necessity for usually the upper will, at least the way I see it, the upper will hold the tension for the lower, and the lower holds the tension for the upper type of thing. So as I'm digging into my glutes and pelvis and stuff, trying to get movement out of that, the upper might start having some issues. I'm not sure. We'll see. The tension has to shift somewhere. With myofascial pain syndrome, you're off track because of all the stuck tissue, and then the tension has nowhere to go, and then it just starts squeezing you, and you are stiff and you are in pain because of all that stiffness in it, and you can't get out of it. You can't easily stretch or just, do some arm circles and then it releases. No, it doesn't. It views these movements as a threat to the whole system, and then it clamps down harder. So you have to stop moving. You have to rest. You have to change your posture frequently to keep the pain from torturing you. As that's how it was for years. It was I have to stand, I have to sit, I have to lie, I have to sit, I have to stand. I have to keep rotating my posture because the posture itself is torturing me, and there is no good posture, right? So you go to the doctor, they say, well, have you tried a different pillow, or you try a different chair that it doesn't matter how I everything's wrong. And it's like, well, how do you win a battle where you're in a condition where everything's wrong? Well, what you're doing is you're reducing the amount of mobility. You're reducing the wear and tear on your muscle by not using them. So you are sitting, you are lying, you're spending a lot of time lying. Because even sitting, you're still using some of your muscles to hold you up in that spot. But when you lie, your body can rest a lot of the muscles, and then it gives it less. It's less taxing to the body. So. You're trying to attack, you're trying to stretch, you're trying to force these stretches to get your body to wake up, and you're also sending blood flow to the tissue and helping it to repair, and you're essentially renegotiating with the nervous system, the thing that's blasting the alarms and torturing you and stuff. You're paying attention to its movements, you're paying attention to the signals, and you are dancing with it, slowly, kind of. You're working with it, and you're, trying to get the tissue to adapt. You can't sit still because the pain increases. You can't just sleep it off and hope that it's going to repair itself, because it when it gets to this stage, it's not repairing itself. It needs manual intervention. It's gone off the rails. It's off the track. So you're the one bringing it back. You're the one bringing it back to reality, I guess. Back to its original functioning. So most of the battle is re-engagement of the tissue, right? It's not a true stretch. You're contracting the muscle, which is a stretch. Part of it is not going to move. Some of the part of it that does move, right? It's not gonna relieve your pain. In fact, it probably will cause more pain while you're doing it, but you have to do it. You know, you have to push through the pain in order to get out of the chronic pain, right? You're fighting each individual battle over years of time to win the war and turn the signals off. So it's getting easier for me to stand and hold my phone and do this. My shoulder's still sore, right? I'm still tired, but it's much better than it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, right? Even leading up to this problem where I was still working and trying to push it to my limit. You know, I literally had to just stop, and that was a very crazy fucking battle. So you stop everything after asking your body to do as much as you can, and then you stop. It's like all the pain signals just flood the body, and you even stiffen up more and more, right? You would think the day you stop is the day you start improving, but no. The day you stop, the body still is going to throw a bunch of... you're still going to have to adapt. And you have to sync your mind with the body, because if you're in stress, if you're not working on repairing the body, you're not repairing the body. That's the hard truth. If you're not working on repairing the body, you are not repairing the body, because it doesn't know what to do at that point. It is gone to the extremes, right? Now, I don't know why this happened, right? I don't know why my body and not other people's body. I don't know, right? I mean, people have all kinds of, disease processes that can happen, right? It can happen. I don't know why, but this is what I'm dealing with. Sometimes your posture, from what I've read, sometimes your posture doesn't develop correctly. You could be born crooked, and your life is just a little bit harder than the average person, functioning, the compensation that occurs, your stress levels, genetics, right? Your genetics dictate the things that happen in your body, and oftentimes, it's always a complete surprise, but oftentimes it's very difficult to deal with the surprise. So, we need a better system. We need way better medical, it's really disappointing. I got that all documented, whatever. I said it because it's true. Things can be figured out just like anything, things can be figured out. To figure out a way to help humanity and then help humanity has to be done. It's not easy to help humanity, but it's, there's no other reason. There's no other reason for existing if we can't solve these problems. Pain and suffering and torture is no good, period. It's no good. It's the worst part about life, and it shouldn't exist. If we can help it, it shouldn't exist. So we should be trying to fix it for everybody. for everybody. But yeah, so I have more color to my face as well. That changes the color comes in and out too. The posture of your body, this is a very fascinating thing. The posture of your body dictates what you feel. It's the signaling in the body. I mean, the nervous system signaling dictates what you feel, but the posture, at least from my perspective, the posture is the boss, right? When your tissue shuts down and your posture is, well, I guess depending on how you say, the functioning of the tissue matters. The connective tissue matters. When things shut down, your nervous system turns things off. I couldn't sweat, or I couldn't feel myself sweat. I couldn't feel the heat. I couldn't feel a sensation of heat on my body. I was in a sauna blanket for 156 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'd be there for a whole hour and not even feel, I feel mildly warm. I didn't feel anything, and I'm like, I don't know if this is working or what. It didn't bother my body at all. And then time went by, and my tissues started moving some more. I started getting more improvements. And then one day my heat sensors came back on. I'm like, whoa, I'm feeling flushed. First it was like really flushed for a few days, and then it evened out. And then I went in the sauna blanket again, and I tried it. 156 degrees Fahrenheit, same setting as before. I was 5 minutes in, and I was dying. And I was like, oh my God, this is uncomfortably hot. Right? So the variables didn't change. The only variable is me, my tissue. Right? And it's such a dramatic change in sensation in my body when the tissue unlocks itself. Right? So when it's stuck, when it's not functioning, when the posture is compromised, whether it's the joint, or the nerve by the joint, or the nerves in the tissue themselves, I don't know, but the posture, the connective tissue health dictates what you feel. And that is, I'm telling you, months have gone by, I feel like a different person. I feel like a different person. I'm not a different person, but I feel like a different person because there's more sensors that are happening. I feel energy a little better, right? It's not great, but it's better. I don't feel like I'm bogged down by all this heavy, problems in my body, right? I still feel a lot of stuff there, but it's it's just noticeably better. So this information is very important, is what I'm saying. This kind of thing is, can be common knowledge, and then, helping people to not only resolve these problems, but to prevent these problems from even happening can also be common knowledge, and that would be, a better world to live in, where people just help people, and, we all work towards something, where we all, we all build the system that makes our life better, or makes life for everything on this planet better, Because pain sucks. Pain is no good. But anyways, that's the gist of the update. Speaking of systemic failures, a Social Security disability denied my claim to disability, and the Appeals Council also denied my appeal of the decision made by the judge, and just said by their own internal rules, by their rules, the judge did not make an error or whatever, a legal error, I guess. And so the decision is final. The only option I have is to take it to a federal court, which is essentially a massive joke and insult. It's just further insult of the whole thing. You take it to a federal court, and you either have to pay money to play that game, or you can file a poor person status and then not play that game. All right, if you file a poor person status, then they will they can waive your filing fee, and then you still apply, and then you still file without the fee, and then they would schedule a court date, which can be years in advance. It could be quite a distance, and the only thing the judge is to determine is if an error was made, and the best the judge can do on the federal level is to say that the judge did overlook something and send it back to the original judge, or to tell Social Security to assign a new judge. So essentially the judge would say, all right, send it back to Social Security. They did make an error. I'm a judge. I'm saying they made an error. So now they have to look at it, right? And it doesn't guarantee anything. It doesn't mean that they've made a different determination. The judge has to look at it a second time. The judge would have to schedule another hearing with me. So this can drag out 2-3 more years, just trying to claim for disability. And I'm still disabled. So from the day I left work, November 8th, 2021, to today, which is 2026, 7/7, right? I have been disabled. Meaning I cannot work without physically hurting myself and torturing myself and making my condition worse. But it's not provable. Therefore, they say no. There's no guidelines for my condition. It's considered musculoskeletal disorder, and they want to see MRIs. They want to see things that are consistent with proof of my claim. But I can't. An MRI does not show myofascial pain syndrome. There's no way to show it. So it's a word versus word battle. And their process is fatally flawed. That's the reality. Social Security disability process is fatally flawed. And that's government. So I don't know what to tell you. But I do know what to tell you. It's that we need doctors. We need people to solve these problems. We need people to start coming up with solutions, and we need to get rid of failed processes because they don't help people. It's an insult to injury is what it is. It's an insult to injury. And why would you do that? Why would you kick somebody when they're down? You know, I mean, I guess there's a difference between, you know, taunting somebody and then saying, well, you applied for disability. We're just telling you no. We're making you do all this fucking paperwork, all these homework assignments, and then we're saying no at the end of it. And once you say no, that money just somehow drifts away, right? The money that you should have by that time just drifts away. And the federal level, for whatever reason, doesn't have a power, doesn't have a say in the matter. They just play ping pong with cases. I don't know what the point of it is. They just take a case and go, oh, we'll just do this, go and put my name on it, put my name on it. And these are both judges and the appeals counsel and all the employees, these are all people that could potentially be doctors or could potentially be helping to make my life easier, and they're not doing that, right? They're saying, I'm not doing it, putting their name on paper, and saying, no, we're not going to even help you financially when we have the power to wave our magic wand and make it possible. The money can go to your account, and it's a little bit of money, but you can figure out what to do with it, because I can't help you. They're not even saying that. They're saying no, and they're citing their own rules as I say, yeah, I know your rules. I read them, but I can't prove it. What's the guidance? Right? What's your guidance for not having, what's the guidance for my condition? Right? You have nothing to offer. In fact, the judge delayed the case longer than it needed to be. Dragged the case out. I mean, they're not even efficient at doing their job. So, you know, in absence of guidance, in absence of efficiency, and essentially putting your name on saying, I'm not helping you, you know, that's a fucking federal crime in my book. Why the hell are you paying these people? Why the hell are they not in jail? Why the hell are they not being corrected? I mean, if the judge was in the same room as me and said that to my face, I'd fucking kill the bitch. I'd fucking strangle that bitch. You have no idea how much pain. Would you like me to show you? Because I can't. Right? That's the equivalent. That's my equivalent response to what just happened. I haven't even responded to everything. Or I have, but you weren't listening. But I'm just talking about this. I'm just talking about this one case. I'm just talking about this one case. Anyways, that is my update. More things I anticipate are going to start changing posturally. More sensations are going to come, good and bad. Right? That's the battle. It's all, to me, progress is a measure of overall functioning, quality of life. Right? Quality of life is directly tied to the healthier body, how much pain you're in, right? That's how I see it. I mean, your quality of life is always great until somebody, you know, comes over and harasses you or, you know, beats the shit out of you or whatever. Your quality of life is always good until that happens. And then immediately, your quality of life declines. Right? These are lessons that not everybody understands. You would think they would understand, but they often forget. They often forget, and they tell themselves things that don't matter. Quality of life is directly tied to whether or not you're being attacked. Right? If you're being attacked, your quality of life just went down. Right? Immediately. And these things can be prevented, and they can be solved, and they should be. They should be. As for, other changes, sensationally, these things change over time, There's a lot of things that occur. I don't see any real reason to document it unless I'm presenting information for some reason. These are important things to know, potentially. A lot of people are stuck in pain, or they're stuck in weird discomfort of their body, and they don't have an explanation for it. And this sort of thing, thing could be useful. This sort of explanation, information, Stop doing the wrong thing and start doing the right thing. That sort of transition, right, can occur once you have the right information. But, we live in a society that does repeat a lot of information that is completely useless and that doesn't help anybody, But I don't know what the purpose is. It was never explained to me, so I'm just born into this system, and I'm counting the years, trying to evade the bullshit as much as possible. But I have no intention to take the Social Security disability to a federal level, because it's it's more dragging out of the same process. And at the end of the road in 3 years, I expect my body to be better functioning at that time. But we'll see. The money is more crucial, more essential when the situation is extreme, right? So I needed that money before. I needed that money the past several years. And, as time goes out in this case, as my functioning is returning, I need the money less and less because I can get money by using my functioning to make money again. Understand? So it makes zero sense, the whole process of Social Security disability insurance. It makes no sense whatsoever. Why does it exist? Why is it possible? Why was it told to me when I was 10 years old? Why was I taught to fill out paperwork for Social Security disability when I was 10 years old, when I was hurting back then, and you didn't help me? You told me to go to school. You told me to study. I did. You told me to go to college. I did. How much more do you need from me? And why? How much more do you need from me and why? I have a lot of questions that are not answered, and I've been walking with them. They're stuck in my body. What good is it to have a failed process? What good is it to force people through a failed process? What good is it to make children when you are not good? When you don't know what you're doing? What good is it? What good are you? What good are you? What good is somebody who never has even asked the question to themselves? What good are they? You know what I mean? What good? These are things you can do as a self-check for whether or not you should do what you think you're supposed to do. These are all questions. Because that's what these people do, right? That's what these people do. They take money to show you that they're not going to help you. They take money to show you that they're not going to help you. And they put it on display. Oftentimes they put it on display. Here's my advertisement. Look at my business. I'm not going to help you. Look at my busyness. I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be busy doing things that are not needed in humanity, not needed in society, not needed for anybody. But you might think it's fun. You might think the way I present it is fun, or funny, or worth giving your attention to. And no, I've never thought to ask, how good am I? How good is my business? Do people want to hear me at all? Or should I just blast it out there? Anyway, because I can. You can do things, but should you? What else can you do? That's what I'm wondering. What else can you do? If you can do that, what else can you do? Can you help somebody? Can you help a lot of people? I understand you don't know anything coming into this world. Nobody does. You walk into the world, you don't know anything. I understand. But what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this system? It's just a bunch of retards. Before you have children, think about what it means to have children. Think about what you're responsible for. Think about what you're responsible for. It's not just another object, it's a person in a society. It's a ball of potential. Not for your disposal. So I don't know anything. My mother didn't do this to me. Okay. Your mother didn't know, and why would you do the same thing? Well, because I feel okay right now. I feel okay right now. And what have you done to help anybody? What have you done? How useful are you in society? Feeling okay is not a reason, right? Feeling okay is a signal. It's a signal in your body. It's not a reason. Anyways, I could talk a lot, but I mean, I've walked through this world and I'm just disappointed. I'm just very disappointed. You know, and sometimes you see like intelligence that went into something and you can say, wow, it is there, right? People can do things, but they often don't. People can do things, but they often don't. And then the hard things happen, right? You have to learn the hard way. Unfortunately. Things catch you by surprise. Capacity is a tough thing to measure. Comparing yourself to another person is a very tough thing to do. You know, the word truly knowing is a very, might not be possible. I don't know. Truly knowing is a tough thing. But people can work together. And there's only one fucking thing that needs to be solved, and that's suffering. You know? Make life better. If you don't agree with that, then I'm curious to know what the fuck you think it should be. You know? There's people that have been through so much pain and torture, and they would tell you the truth. You know? Just because other animals go through something doesn't mean that's the way it should be. I'm not saying we're better than any animal. I'm saying We're smart enough to solve problems, and we should solve the real problem. All right, that's that. That's all I got. I'll probably make another one in a few months or so. See how I'm doing. But yeah, the disability thing is done in my book. As I said what I needed to say, that's it. It's self-explanatory. It was, the process itself was already self-explanatory. It's like somebody created it as a big joke and then they just continued. I don't know. I mean, some people do get the approvals. Some people do get the claims approved, but I don't know. It just seems to be whatever the judge or whatever the bias is of the Social Security Disability organization, agency, whatever the current biases are. That's what happens. But it doesn't do what it says it does. It doesn't do what it claims to do. Sometimes. But anyways, that's the system. That's the failed system. That's my update. And I'll see you next time.